Hello everybody, welcome to Sonic Talk 897, recording today on the 17th of June 2026, which also happens to be the date of the first England match in the World Cup series of soccer, football, however you want to pronounce it. I'm saying both for our stateside friends. This is not a sports podcast, though. This is to do with music technology. We're going to talk about synthesizers, software, drum machine, performing, recording, all the kind of stuff that surrounds that world. I'm trying to get keywords in. I keep getting lots of emails saying I need more keywords to make my to make the podcast have a wider reach. There's a real concerted effort there. So I'm saying them all, and I'll probably put them in the description at some point. Before I get to our guests, I'm going to chat a little bit about what's coming up. I think I've got some things coming up. Oh yeah, don't forget we got a great competition. I think if I win Osmose CE49, yeah, that is the controller, the MPE controller, Sonicstate.com/competition. That's open till I think the 26th. So go and grab that. You can enter either just by Instagram or by signing up to our newsletter. If you're already signed up, it doesn't matter. You just get registered as an entry into the competition by doing all that stuff. So, but yeah, do check that out. Don't forget, we've also got the Embodme Ear 2 and Ear sound patch flip up from Matt. Maths, that was really good. Lovely combination of that as well. I'm going to have to check that out. That sounds really good. And I'm looking at the Atto-V Fader Punk currently, so there'll be a review of that coming up. Plus, Gearfest in London coming up quite soon, 27th on Saturday. I'll be going up to that, trying out a new rig and just kind of filming some videos and hanging out there and all of those things. Before I get on to our guests, as is customary, I'm going to plug our Patreon and our YouTube memberships, because we've been posting stuff up there quite recently, a few exclusive videos and stuff you get early as well. So stay tuned, and this will give you all the information you need. Support us on Patreon and keep us doing what we do. There's exclusive content like gear previews and hidden gems from our extensive archives. We're now posting early access to some of our videos, as well as many with ad-free versions too. Enjoy the Sonic Talk pre-show chats, and there's a growing library of sample instruments made with the free Decent Sampler with a redesigned interface from Venus Theory. You'll also get access to our Discord server and a private monthly hangout with the team. Head over to patreon.com/Sonicstate to see the latest offers and explore our ever-expanding collection of Patreon-only content, and help keep what we do independent. And for those who'd rather support us on YouTube, we've added a new 16-bit tier which gives you early access to some videos and all of our Decent Sample instruments. So just head over to YouTube and check out the membership offers there. Yes, indeed. In fact, I just posted on Friday, I did some samples of the Domino with some binaural goodness. Actually, they came out really well. I wasn't sure how it would translate, but I have to say I'm quite pleased with them. So if you're a member, do check them out. There's 8 or 10 of them. I can't remember now. But anyway, let's get on to our guests. We've got a fulsome panel this week, and from all sides of the Atlantic. Well, both. But I mean, it's still in favour of the Brits at the moment. But we got Charlie Clouser, who's there from LA, where there's the studio, masterminding soundtracks to a horror film coming to you, as well as all the Saw franchises and many other stuff, doing some production work as well. Lovely blurred depth of field there. That is all real, though, that equipment behind you, isn't it? It's not just one of the, you're not green screened. Yeah.
Oh, no. Unfortunately for my bank account, it's all real.
Ah, well, there you go. Anything exciting happening in your studio at the moment? Last time we spoke to you, I think you had got a few things. And in fact, actually, I think you said you got hold of the Katya, I never pronounce it. The Icelandic volcano synth. I think everybody knows what I mean.
Yep.
Have you been trying that out? Or did you actually pull the plug? Pull the trigger?
Oh, no, it's right. It's sitting right there. I ran into those guys at the Buchla and Friends, which is sort of a mini NAMM kind of synth-focused event that happens around NAMM. And, I kind of poked at it a little bit at that event, and they said, hey, can we... There wasn't really enough at those type of events, it's loud, it's crazy, you're running into old friends. So it wasn't really a optimum environment to try it out in. And they said, "Oh, can we bring it over to your studio and show you the intricacies?" And of course, that's sort of the death blow for the bank account, because once it's in the room and you've spent an hour or two with the people that made it, then it's not leaving. So they kindly let me purchase one of the first batch, and I think they're doing a second batch as well now, because the first round of 100 went very quickly apparently, and it's a weird and wonderful thing. It's unusual, and it has some limitations if you put it on a spec sheet next to other popular synths, but it really points you in a direction that is perfect for kind of minimalist scoring type of work, where there might be only 2 or 3 sounds happening at once, but each of those sounds has texture and movement and interesting quality. So I've kind of reduced my frontline synth collection to 3 items, besides the Euro rack, which doesn't count. So Waldorf Quantum Mark II, and I think it's Katla, or I'm not sure if it's Katla or Katya.
Genki instrument Katla,
That's the one. It. And the just gotten the UDO Domino, which I was very interested to see your reviews on. And that's another one that is weird and wonderful and capable of some very evil tones. So those are the big 3 that are on that side of the room within easy reach.
I guess capable evil tones, particularly given your track record, is possibly a pretty good endorsement for your particular Sonic.
Yeah, it's right on target.
Nice. Oh, well, glad to hear it. Sounds like there's a lot of fun and a lot of crazy sounds. Yeah, I'm guessing as soon as you've made a space for it to sit, and then they're all standing around expectantly, it's a bit like that's what I think that's the same reason why people, when they go into shops and shop assistants are too attentive. Like, my partner doesn't like going into those shops because she feels like then there's a commitment to buy something, even, and might buy it even if she doesn't want to, just because. And I guess it's a similar, So, well, good salespeople. Excellent. Well, lovely. That chuckle you heard there in the background is Paulee Alex Bow, who looks like, is that like some sort of a lit up rave rope, or are they dungaree?
The braces.
The braces, they're very vibrant.
They've got like different modes. I'm reversing slower.
Nice.
There we go.
Nice.
How are you doing, Nick?
They
you
light
good?
up. Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Yeah, good. Like I said, I've been looking at the Atto V Fader Punk, but I'm sure you've got stuff, because you've got a few things on the go as well, haven't you, Paulie, right?
I do. Firstly, I wanted to say that I have quit my 9 to 5, which is a sort of crazy.
Taking the plunge.
Yeah, I'm becoming a full-time creative in possibly the most turbulent time for creatives since the Black Death. So we're gonna, so we're gonna, just see how it goes. But I've got loads of stuff to do for various synth companies and stuff. But yeah, at the moment I am all over the Iridium MK2 Waldorf.
Right, the Waldorf, yeah.
Which Rolf sent me. And I've been exploring the new Aphex Twin mode, the note parameter locks, and I've done a very cool little thing on it. So that will be coming out in my review next time. But yeah, other than that, of course, the writing for Sonicstate, all sorts of cool stuff. And I think, I don't know if we've got many Italian fans in, but I think I'm going to Soundmit in October. That was the latest news that came in. So, if you're there, come and say hello. But yeah, it's going pretty well, actually. I've just got to obviously have a bit of discipline now, because it's, if I don't work, I don't earn, basically. But, when the work is this fun, then it's no bad thing, is it?
Well, congratulations. That's quite a major achievement. I know something you've been working towards for a while. Glad to be able to play a small part in that. But yeah, brilliant. Oh, well, nice one. That's fantastic. We've also got Yoad Nevo, who's here from his studio in London, Nevo Sound, where not only does he do the the mixing, the sound design, the instrument software consultation, Atmos mixes. Also doing great guns on the YouTube channel. I watched one of your mix. What was the last one I watched? The one where you basically you couldn't use anything apart from a touch of compression on the mix bus. It was all about level, no EQ, nothing. Yeah. Did you pull that off first time, or did you have to choose wisely before you started that project?
No, I mean, I'm used to. First of all, great to be here again. I've not been on this show for like a couple of months because I was really, really busy. Still am. And it's always fun to be here. And good luck, Paulee, and welcome to the freelance world. I'm sure it will go well for you.
Hopefully.
And I mean, I'm used to doing a rough mix or like a monitor mix on every session when you logged up the 2-inch tape, and you just have to do a monitor mix before you can do any overdubs or anything like that. So I'm kind of used to that workflow. I haven't done it for years, but it's a second nature. So for me, it's very easy. I know that for many people who are not from that kind of discipline, they start by piling tons of plugins first of all, and then wondering why it's not sounding good. So that was a kind of back to basics sort of approach. And the video is doing very well. The channel I'm now on 140,000 subscribers.
Wow, that's happened quick.
Just over a year, which is amazing.
Nice.
So I'm just doing a video now about whether to have the compressor before the EQ or after the EQ. So that will be coming out tomorrow. And so like you said, I'm working on my normal kind of mix, a lot of mixing, but during that, or in parallel to that, I'm also working on a very big project with one of the major plugin brands, which is very, very exciting. And on top of that, which I think Unique know a little bit about, but I'm not going to talk about it too much. I'm working on my own instrument based on all my synths. I have about 50 synths, and I accumulated a lot of samples. And it's not just kind of maps, it's sounds that are usable. And I call it ready to mix. So it's kind of stuff that you drop in your session and they work. So it's all about curation rather than sort of
interesting
quantity. The interface is very simple. So it's kind of a very interesting approach, and I'm very excited about that. It will take a while, but it will eventually come out.
Wow, so lots going on for everybody, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, I mean, summer is the time. I was hoping to go down to 4 days for a few weeks so that I could go fishing, but I haven't managed to do it. Either it's just been pouring with rain or gale force winds, so there's no point because it's not much fun being outside. Anyway, that's not really kind of what we're here to talk about. Got some good. It's summer, so let's. I guess. Well, what should we start? Should we start with a couple of the big releases? We've obviously got two of them. If I do, let's go here first because one of them is a sponsor, not this one. But yes, we've got GFORCE Software, the official P5, Prophet 5, sanctioned, or whatever you call it, made in conjunction with licensed by. It's a great video by Alex Bow, as we know. GFORCE do great jobs of emulations. I'll leave the history part to you. I know we're often fans of theirs. It's usually the usual stuff. So it's got I think they've redesigned the X modifiers because it was X LFOs and X envelopes before, and I think now they're tool X modifiers. I think they've been redesigned. Currently available, $69, and what can I say? It's funny. I mean, P5, the American synths, because of my heritage, because I basically grew up in the UK on sort of cheap Japanese synths, they don't speak to me as much. You know, the Prophet 5, I've never sort of grabbed one and gone, oh my goodness, this is what I absolutely need. It's really curious, and I don't know why that is. I mean, it's just it's sort of not part of my DNA. Whereas I'm guessing, I don't know, maybe Charlie, you're probably are more of a Prophet person or an Oberheim person, just purely because those were the sort of synths that have been around during your journey through music tech, right?
Yeah, I mean, they were certainly ubiquitous, both on records and in music videos. I still remember the great video for, I think it's the song Operator by Atlantic Star or Midnight Star or something, where it's 5 keyboard players, on Prophet 5s in a great big straight line. And so they were very much a part of the pop culture or music culture, but also they had a big presence on some of my favorite records, like on Talking Heads' Remain in Light, and David Byrne's The Catherine Wheel, where he had Bernie Worrell, I believe, from the Parliament landscape, adding synthesizer stuff, and it was very noticeable. And of course, Bernie is a Prophet guru. That was kind of his axe. So those sounds definitely permeated the records and the larger pop culture landscape. But I, weirdly, was never like a Prophet 5 guy, even though it was the thing to have. I always did gravitate more towards Oberheims because they were sort of more brash and capable of being nasty sounding. And of course, Roland stuff, which, I don't know, maybe because that was also kind of ubiquitous. But that Prophet 5 version from GFORCE is fantastic. I snatched it up on release day, and it, like all their plug-in emulations of synths, it's amazing. And so maybe that will coax me into being more of a Prophet guy. I was a big fan of the Pro 1 mono synth from Sequential back in the day. And that was one of my first analog synths or first electronic instruments ever. And that still has a I have a soft spot in my heart for that, because that was also a very capable of being a nasty little bugger. And it was also widely used in a lot of the EDM and industrial
and it was affordable. I think that's the thing. I mean, I think that's the thing. My past has always been, I guess, mono synths, and I guess the Pro. I didn't. Lots of people around my era were really digging the Pro 1. I guess I just Mon was more of a Roland thing. I mean, but now Ken Flux said I was talking blasphemy, and actually pointed out several people have pointed out that Stop Making Sense, Bernie Worrell in Talking Heads. I mean, those synth lines are just absolutely fantastic. I really, really rate them. I know, but I've had the Dave Smith stuff in here, the sequential stuff in here. I forget which one it is now, but and they're fine, but it just doesn't have the same nostalgia. Maybe it's, I don't know. I don't know. How do you feel about Prophets? I'm guessing you haven't got any. Have you got any sequential stuff?
I've got a Prophet 600, Prophet 600 Glee, which I love to bits. My goodness, what a synth it is now with that, with that update. But what astounded me about this was the original Prophet 5. It's quite light on modulation. I think there's one LFO. There's definitely only one LFO on a stock Prophet 600. But this new X modifier section on this VST gives almost every parameter its own envelope and LFO, which is insane. That is absolutely wild. That's obviously our new world of great massive CPUs has just given you an LFO for every parameter. But yeah, I thought from the little trailer it sounded beautiful,
Yes.
And the one thing I was thinking about recently, because I write for a magazine called Compute. It's like a retro computer magazine. I was doing a piece on Sequential, mainly their Max synth, which connected to the Commodore 64 via MIDI. Mm-hmm. It's this silver thing. But I went back and kind of, had a meditation almost on the Prophet 5, and what astounds me about it is what range it had with different artists. You know, you had the ultra smooth tones of like Hall and Oates on one end using the Prophet 5. Then you had like John Carpenter on the other end doing all these
Japan,
really
course,
gritty, and Japan, of course, you know, with all those crazy weird cross mod sounds. And things like that. So I'm just absolutely blown away by the range of that synth. I think its only downside is it's mono. So it always works best. My 602 works best through a stereo chorus. But this has got some chorus built in.
It's got plenty. Yeah, it's got plenty of effects.
It's a winner. It's a winner. I'm gonna have to nab a copy.
Yeah.
And try it out. Try out all the LFOs at once.
I can unmute myself. One thing I will say before I get onto you, Yoad, is I might do a patch flip on it if I get a chance. But please, and I say this every single time, can I have some kind of way of assigning previous patch, next patch onto those, because there's no key command, there's nothing, and it would really make me very happy if that ever happened. Anyway, I don't know, Yoad, I know you're a fan of the GFORCE stuff, and I mean, I'm assuming this is no. Have you got a Prophet there somewhere?
No, I haven't. I used to have one. I didn't own one. I never owned one, but I used to have one it was many years ago. I had it for a year. I never really connected to it. It's similar to what you said. I'm more of a kind of a Roland and Korg guy. You know, give me a 101 and there's something like a, you know, there's something about it. And with the Prophet, it feels a bit distant. I mean, it's amazing. I love the sounds. Obviously, I love all the songs that were made using it. I have the Prophet Rev 2, which is not the same, and I love it. It's really good. There's something kind of cold about it, which I don't mind listening to, but I don't connect to it in the same way as I could connect to a Juno or a Paulee 6. Paulee 6 is like, wow. And even the Matrix, the Oberheim Matrix 6, there's something, even though it's quite metallic and it uses the same components basically, or very similar components to the Prophet 5, something about it feels kind of warmer. But having said all that, this plugin is amazing and I want it, and absolutely amazing. And the fact that it's mono, I mean, I recently reconnected everything here, and I connect all the synths, all the old synths, which use the chorus, like the Roland, the Super JX, the Juno, the JX3P. I just connect one channel, and then I use the TAL. Then I use the TAL chorus, which is identical to the actual chorus that lives inside them, apart from the which the plugin doesn't have. And I actually sample that, so I have it as a loop. And if I want that noise, I can add it to the pod. But I don't miss it. You know, I changed the capacitors, and not me personally, but I had them changed and everything. It's still so noisy. I mean, it's great, but the TAL, which is a free product and everyone should get it right away, it's just the same. I made a comparison using Pink Noise, and they're identical. So so that's what I use. I connect everything, and it's great on the Matrix and
saves you on channels as well.
The Alpha Juno, what's it called? The 50. I have the Alpha Juno
MKS.
MKS 50. Yeah, yeah, and the MKS 80, which is the Super Jupiter.
Ooh,
just mono.
Oh, hello.
Right.
Nice.
No noise.
Oh, interesting.
So yeah, that's your
jam. Excellent.
That's my P5.
Take 5, excellent. Well, Take 5, of course, is another product available in hardware. But this is, I mean, I think the thing is they've kind of created a bit of an alliance, you know, and so GFORCE are being used to sort of present software versions of those classic hardware synths, sort of officially sanctioned, licensed, whatever. And I know that they've been talking to the people at Oberheim and, you know, and Tom and various other people, and you know, and also I guess that Focusrite now. So I know it's, yeah, so that's all good. So that's sort of, and it's interesting, isn't it? Because we'll probably talk about another product a little bit later, because it's well, because they're a sponsor anyway, so you'll hear about it whether we get to the topic or not. But it's really interesting how the cost of some of these plugins is really sort of dropping. I mean, I think it starts, it's at 69. I don't know if it stays there or goes up to 99, but 69 seems pretty low, if I'm perfectly honest, but fair enough. Right.
It's $100, isn't it, these days?
It's about $100, yeah, which seems pretty, yeah, that's pretty good for this kind of this stuff. And I guess the thing is then, the challenge is then selling enough of them, you know, to make it work, because the development is not an insignificant cost. I was going to get onto another quick topic before we get to our ad, so that we could have a bit of daylight between some plugin news. I wondered whether or not. Oh yeah, here we go. Look, so it's summer. We're all thinking about holidays some of the time, or going away. And there's a great article on Gear News by Lassie Eilers, and I found this video by Rise Trigger, which is just basically a little modular system on a beach, just kind of battery powered, random, you know. This is to signify the topic, which is, you know, what battery powered or portable things are you likely to take away with you. You know, they come up with a lot of good calls. There's Ira Compact, Teenage Engineering, Sonicware, Reface, Microcork 2, which incidentally has 128 plug-in slots, not 32 I originally thought, which is pretty impressive. So that might make a difference. That's battery powered. I didn't see any. The KO2 wasn't on there. The Akai sample, which I believe is now in stock, is back there. Because those both look like things. But we've all been there, haven't we? I mean, right back from my first tour, where I must take all of these things with me because I'm going to be so creative in the hotel room writing stuff. I'm not going to be lying there either over refreshed or comatose after a really hard day's work. So we've been there, but I wonder whether or not, I mean, Charlie, you've toured a lot, right? Do you think you what would you take battery powered now for that moment of inspiration in the middle of nowhere? Or would you like to just leave it all in the studio and forget about it?
Well, if it's a vacation we're talking about, then yeah, I don't want to be bringing some, you know, a modular rig down the beach. That's the last thing I want. But I recognize that's not a typical viewpoint. On tour, I would always have, you know, I was for better or worse, I was the guy who had to manage and sort out the portable studio, which in the early days meant 2 racks the size of refrigerators with, you know, DA88s and an old Mac Quadra and that sort of things. In the current days, though, I would gravitate towards the Sonicware stuff, which I don't have any of, but every time I'm over at Perfect Circuit, the local, you know, boutique synth shop, they've always got 1 or 2. I mean, Sonicware seem to release a lot of instruments fairly rapidly, and there's always 1 or 2 sitting out on display, so you can grab a pair of headphones and go nuts. And I've definitely been tempted by that stuff because it's very immediate and quick, and there's, you know, a very small 3-digit display, so you're kind of, everything's right at the surface. And that seems the most, out of the current crop of stuff, that seems like the most interesting, and it's quite inexpensive too. Some of their boxes are $300 or $400, so that's the direction I'd be looking first.
Interesting. That's an interesting thought. I know, yeah, and I know you sometimes go to a holiday apartment or whatever, or apartment, and but you, I mean, it's a laptop and a controller and a small interface. I mean, is it all about in the box to you when you do that sort of thing?
Absolutely. I want to, when I'm away, I want to recreate the environment I have here as much as possible. I'm not too bothered about all the analog stuff and the Neve and all that. I just want to get stuff done. And so recently I've been even taking my Mac Mini, the M4 Pro, which is actually lighter than a laptop. So a laptop is like 3 kilos, and this one is 700 grams. And with the hard drives, which are nothing, I just throw it in the bag, and then I get access to a screen, like a 4K screen, and I don't even have to. I used to make sure that my laptop is fully synced to my desktop computer, so the same plugins, the same everything, which is kind of 80% there probably. But when you actually take the same machine, that's amazing, because you just plug it in and it works, and you're in the same situation. So for me, no, I'm not going to use it on the beach. For that, yeah, I would use a laptop. So I'm not that kind of guy.
Right.
I know
okay,
many
enough.
viewers of the channel are, but I'm a studio person, and I want to recreate that experience as closely as possible wherever I am.
Yeah, no, fair enough. And I sort of thought you might go that direction. And I mean, I'm the same. You know, when I went to Spain, I took essentially what's in front of me to Spain, you know, with a CME keyboard, because I mean, taking synthesizers and whatnot. But I mean, what's really interesting now is you can power so many things from a power bank and all the sort of MyVolt step ups and ripcords and all that sort of thing. So, Paulie, I've got this notion. So you've got 2 young kids. You probably haven't started collecting tokens for budget caravan holidays on the West Wales coast yet, but you will, and I'm wondering what you'll take with you when that happens.
I think the MC101 is an absolute winner. It's because it's got, I know the screen's tiny, but you can kind of learn it, and essentially you get a full Zen Core engine. You get God knows how many samples with all the patterns and all the scenes. You can like have, like, I ran my entire live show from this in France, which was a bit seat of your pants, but I did it and it worked. So, you know, if you don't mind a little bit of menu diving, then it packs so much into a small space. Something that's a bit more friendly is the what's it called again? The Mega Synthesis. Yeah, mine is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles skin on it. But it's, you know, four operator FM with, I think, 1 channel of sampling, 4-bit grungy sampling, and a bunch of presets from Yuzo Koshiro, who wrote all the Streets of Rage games for Sega music. It's just an absolute winner. Just, you know, in my video, I was able to really, and this is the thing to its credit, you can really push it outside of video game music as well and make something, you know, very unusual, because it's got the effects on it. And the final thing, of course, is everyone needs a Game Boy. Well, everyone in my generation needs a Game Boy. There's so many, if you get a flash cart for your Game Boy, there's so many cool little music making bits of software available, from a simple like electric drum that you can play with the buttons to full kind of sequencing wavetable synths and stuff like that. So big shout out to all the Game Boy musicians of the world, because there they are with these tiny screens making absolute, you know, legendary compositions. So that's my thoughts on battery powered synths.
And nobody can see whether they're gaming or making music, which I suppose is kind of interesting. Interesting. Right. Well, I'm going to stop things there and just bring a mention in. I mentioned that we have one of the products that I was going to talk about was a sponsor, so I may as well play the ad now. So we're back after this. New from Cherry Audio is the Ensoniq ESQ-1, a virtual synthesizer that honours the 40th anniversary of the classic ESQ-1 polyphonic hybrid synthesizer. The plugin features the original 32 waveforms, licensed from Creative Technology, which allows for an authentic recreation of complex sounds from 1986. It includes modern features such as extensive modulation options, rhythmic pattern generation, polyphonic aftertouch and MPE, along with integrated effects. The Ensoniq ESQ-1 includes over 400 presets that blend classic factory sounds with new designs, and it also supports data exchange with the original hardware. Ensoniq ESQ-1 by Cherry Audio, still the one, and available now at cherryaudio.com. Yes, indeed, that was what all the teasing was about. So yes, Cherry Audio ESQ-1. This is another synth that kind of passed me by. My synthesizer, my Ensoniq involvement ended at the Mirage. Mirage was my first sampler. I drove many miles when I remember very vividly, I hired a car, I drove to the far east of England, I picked up this thing, it was in a flight case, and I had to get back in time to be there for a sound check at the club I was a house engineer for. So it was like I was probably on the road for about 8 hours, and so I couldn't even play with it when I got home because I just couldn't. And I do remember when I did. So this Ensoniq, that's where my Ensonicness ended. So I know for a lot of other people, I mean, I know there's some really big exponents. I mean, I think Adamski's probably one of the biggest poster child in the UK pop scene, perhaps, for the Ensoniq, because of Killer, which was done. I don't think it was an ESQ-1. I forget what it was that was, but somebody will know, I'm sure.
SQ80, I think.
SQ80, right?
SQ80, maybe.
Similar sort of. Well, lots of similar sort of technology. I don't know, Yoad, did the ESQ-1 figure in your musical journey to where you are?
Absolutely. I remember I didn't own one, but I worked with this psychedelic trance band duo, and they had one, and it was unbelievable. We did a whole track just using that, and in order to get actually, it's funny, speaking of Adamski and Seal, around the same time there was what's the song? It's the same song that Adamski did but with the Trevor Horn production, which had this filter sweep. Crazy.
Yes, Crazy. Right. Okay. Right.
And it had this, that kind of filter sweep. And we tried to do that. Obviously, you didn't have any controllers to control the filter or anything like that. So what we ended up doing was sampling a filter sweep. So we used the base station for that. So we sampled the filter sweep like that. And then we assigned the modulation wheel to the sample start. So when you play it, it's like, you play it and then
the sample
change
start.
the start time. So every time it triggers a different place. And so we managed to get that with Ensoniq. That was quite fun. But yeah, really good. I have a lot of memories from the Mirage as well. I remember it sounded so kind of shit, basically. I mean, now in retrospect, it's amazing. It's like almost like a digital mellotron and all that. But at the time, it sounded really shit. So I used to run it through the Clark Technique third octave graphic EQ, and I just used to take like a pen and just push all the bends all the way up. So with all the phasing and all the kind of sweetness that it added, it made it sound a little bit better. But
it was all about the filter.
I want to get my hands on this Cherry Audio synth as well, because it sounds like it replicates the vibe very accurately. Definitely,
it's the same.
You muted yourself, Nick.
Hold. The latest from Cherry, it's authorized digital waveforms, obviously, from the original $69. Again, just bringing the price of these things down. So I really like, actually, the one thing that Cherry Audio do very well is the effects. I know certainly with the SH5 they did, where you could take effect sends sort of post oscillator, post one of the filter, or post band filter, so you have completely different sort of points. I don't know if they've done the same on this. I would imagine there's something similar going on. I really like the way that works. I know it's interesting. Now I remember when I bought my first multi-timbral keyboard, which turned out to be a Korg M1. At the time, I was wondering whether I was buying an M1 or maybe I was going to go for an Ensoniq, one of those, maybe ESQ-1, one of the multi-timbral ones, because they were no longer being made, but they had been really expensive. So, but I didn't, because I think in the end the piano sound wasn't as good as the M1 for the time. So that's probably where I diverted. I don't know, Charlie. You got fond Ensoniq memories, or ESQ particularly?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I, like many, Mirage was my first sampler that I owned, which was quite a step down from the Fairlight, which I was renting time on at the time. And I foolishly thought there was going to be some equivalency between a Fairlight and a Mirage, which there is some equivalency in that I guess technically both are samplers, but beyond that, the comparison ends. But I did get a lot of mileage out of the Mirage back in the day. And I do remember, although I never had an ESQ-1 or SQ-80 or any of the later Ensoniq instruments, but I do remember at the one job that I ever had, which was working at the Sam Ash Music Store on 48th Street in Manhattan, fresh out of school, there was an employee there who, each salesman would sort of gravitate towards one brand and he would be the Korg guy or the Roland guy in the store. So, if you want to talk about Roland synths, go see Phil. He's the Roland guy. And there was one employee, Joe Albano. Hi, Joe, if you're out there, who was, for a minute, was kind of the Ensoniq guy. And he would dominate with this sort of stack of Ensoniq instruments and would create sequence demos using the onboard sequencers, which were amazing and which sold a lot of Ensoniqs when customers would hear what he could whip up just on the built-in sequencers and with the built-in sounds on those instruments. So they're always hugely impressive, and a bit of a sort of a left turn from what was the sort of rompler stuff that Korg was doing. And the Ensoniq stuff with their sort of not exactly wave table, but waveform synthesis was an unusual take with surprisingly good results. And I know that those instruments were super widely used. Again, maybe it's an American thing. They were everywhere for that short period of time, because they were an American based or company to some degree. And but one thing I'm super impressed by and really glad to see is that Cherry have they've licensed all the waveforms, so they're allowed to call it an ESQ, an Ensoniq brand name. Yeah. But they've also implemented data exchange, so you can do system exclusive patch dumps from the hardware and I've done that with great success with the Hardware Prophet VSs that are still somewhere in the rack over there, and the Arturia Prophet VSV plugin. And that is a huge step forward for anybody who did own the originals or maybe still has them, and being able to kind of move diagonally or sideways into a software emulation and still take advantage of their decades of patches they've accumulated. So I love to see that the Cherry have done that, and I wish we'd see it in more synths, like hopefully Arturia will implement something for their emulation of the Matrix 12 and Expander, because I got a lot of patches in my Expander that I would love to move over to the software equivalent without sort of manually fiddling the parameters and looking at the display on the hardware and trying to match it and so on. So I love that they've done that, and good on them.
I wonder how much work it is for the sort of niche of, how that, but I might imagine. I know, Paulie, there's something about digital waveforms like this. Obviously, they had digital waveforms that frankly were fairly raw and not that nice sounding, which then went into a Curtis filter, wasn't it, basically? I mean, it was, that seemed to be the approach that they took, right?
Yeah. So Bob Jans, who developed the dock chip, which is the kind of heart of the digital waveforms. He originally did the SID, the Commodore 64 SID, which is cool. And then dock was his next sort of step, and he had digital triangle, square, saw waves in the Commodore 64. So he added a bunch more in the ESQ-1, and it's amazing because for the time it let you get so nasty, honestly. You know, like people, I mean, I don't even think the heaviest crazy deranged music, which I love, came, you know, sort of 90s-ish, you know, where we turned distortion up to 10. But with an ESQ-1, you can actually just create just absolute legions of grit and filth by just using, they've implemented things like hard sync and AM on these digital waveforms with no care for, like, you know, trying to stop the aliasing. I think it was assumed that you'd filter it down, you know, if you wanted to make it sweeter.
Not to hurt so much, yeah.
Yes, so it is absolutely capable of some of the most vile, amazing tones that you're going to get, especially the sync on waveforms, which aren't your classic analog waveforms, is a bit of a treat. So yeah, excited for this one. I don't have an ESQ-1. I've got a VFX, which was the sort of first rompler instrument, though it had some trans waves on it as well, like wavetable-y things. And I've got the EPS 16 Plus sampler, which is, again, amazing. I want to see that in software, ideally, because there's things that it does with samples which I can't do anywhere else. And, you know, it's aging and it's got a VFD screen. And if it goes down, I'm going to have to spend loads of money getting another one.
Is
you
the
know,
VFD,
just for the tricks it does.
I'm curious, does anybody know, is the VFD, is that similar technology that's in the Domino?
It is. Yeah.
Okay.
They
interesting.
got they got a new company to make them for them, I think. But I think it uses a more modern technique, so they'll have a longer shelf life. But yeah, VFDs are surprisingly rare nowadays.
Interesting.
Vacuum fluorescent display, for anyone who doesn't know what it is. You're all nerds listening. You know what a VFD is.
I forget, because in my review I sort of glossed over the fact that it was a screen screen technology that I sort of said it reminded me of 80s Pioneer hi-fi amps.
That's exactly what it is. And also, when I went to Bristronica, I saw it from about 3 meters away, and I was in total train spotter mode. I was like, "Is that a VFD?" So I walked over to the Domino and had a good minute just staring at the screen, changing parameters, and going, "Wow, this display is really something." I didn't even play it the first time.
just looked at the display.
I just looked at the screen.
That is proper nerd. That is, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Anyway, available now as ever, and we thank them for obviously they're sponsors of the show. You know that because I didn't play a video, I just played the ad. So pretty much that was out yesterday. There's a long video with Tim Shoebridge who does a sort of deep dive into it. If you want to have a look at that. Again, maybe something that I'll get around to doing a patch flip. I might line up a bunch, because there was also. Did you see the UVI Rumble? That was interesting. Maybe we'll do that one, because that's actually quite an interesting approach for a synthesizer. I'll play this now. Will I play it now? I might have to do the ad. Maybe I should do an ad first and then come back. I'm sorry they're a bit close together, but we were having such fun chatting. I'll be back after this. Introducing the Novation Launch Control XL3, a control surface for your entire setup. Get hands-on with your entire workflow. Launch Control XL's 8 precision faders, 24 endless rotary encoders, and 16 assignable buttons give you tactile control over all major DAWs, right out of the box with instant visual feedback. And with intuitive custom mapping for all your plugins and hardware, Novation Launch Control XL makes an ideal studio centerpiece. Control any setup, go deep with a single device, or get to grips with your entire production, mix down or performance. Whether you're in the box, hardware-based, or a mixture of the two, Novation's Launch Control XL is a creative controller that suits your needs.
One second.
Oh, yeah.
I want to say that I was looking for replacement for my aging BCR 2000, and I went for the Novation Launch Control XL, and I have to say that I'm really enjoying it. It's really solid. It's really good. It's very compact, so it fits here. And I used Claude to program it, so I now have, rather than using the software to manually enter like all the parameters, I now have 4 pages from control 1 to control 127 or 0 to 127, and it's all mapped. Amazing. Claude created a sysex, like 4 sysex files, which I uploaded to the machine. Works great. I don't use it as a logic control. I just use it as a generic kind of MIDI controller. Really liking it. Just have to say. Yeah.
Nice. Well, I'm glad to hear that. They are sadly leaving us, I think, at the end of the month. So if anyone else wants to pick up their slot, consider this an ad for an ad. I suppose I shouldn't say that, but anyway, I'll put it up there. So yeah, this is what was I going to go to next? I was going to the UVI, wasn't I? That's right. Here we go. Yeah, this was just out. I downloaded this actually and had a little play with it. It's a really interesting idea. I mean, basically virtual analog, but what it does is split the sound into multi-band. So you get a bass band generation, mid-band generation, and high-band generation. I mean, it's there's quite a lot of different, sounds in here, but I found it just by moving those sliders across between the frequencies, you can make such dramatic changes to the sound and send each band to its own set of effects. It was I thought it was quite an interesting thing. It's currently it's $99, reduced from $199, so it's a bit more expensive. But I just thought, ooh, this was really good. I'll come to you, Yoad. I mean, I know you develop software, so you often appreciate these kind of alternative approaches. I'd never seen this before. Have you seen anything like this?
No, not in this sense. I mean, there are a lot of kind of multi-temporal kind of synths that use different morphing vectors and things like that. But that's quite a fresh take. I wonder what happens to the phasing when you have highly correlated parts, especially between the mid and the highs. So I suppose that the way to use it is to have something quite plucky for the highs, something different for the mids. So maybe something long for the lows and the mids, and something more plucky for the highs. And then you can, I'm sure it has like a sort of LFO control that you can assign to the crossover, because that will that will be great. Seems like a really, really cool concept. I like the UVI. I have one product of theirs, and I never got into their kind of universe. I know that they have a lot of stuff, and they're known for their sample libraries and things, but they do have a lot of synth engines and things. Yeah. So interesting. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Well, the one thing that's because not only do you move the frequencies, it's like a multi-band crossover. You can drag the relative levels of those at the same time as well. It's really interesting. I don't know, Paulie, if I've never seen anything like this before. I wasn't sure how it was going to sound. I mean, I downloaded it and played a few patches. It's again another thing that I might do a patch flip for, and it's sounding, because you can play it polyphonically as well, which is kind of interesting if you choose. So it's not just a bass synth like some bass synths that say they are. Yeah, if you see what I mean.
Yeah, no, definitely. I could see you going so many different ways with this. I think maybe a bass synth is the serving suggestion. Like you get on a packet of food, you have a serving suggestion. I think that's bass is the serving suggestion here. But I can imagine you can make plucks. You could probably make things which morph really quite drastically as time goes on. I think this would be another one which would make great sample fodder, you know. If you created a cool sound and then sampled it, multi-sampled it, whatever, maybe added even more effects after. I think it's a real sort of good building block synth. And as regarding if it's original, I think it is original all in one. You can, of course, you know, take you can take one synth and split it into a multi-band splitter and put different effects on each time, or you can get two different synths and obviously put them through a multi-band separator. But it's all quite fiddly. You know, you need to really know what you want and what you're doing. And I tend to do it more on guitars, where I want the low notes to have something and the high notes to have a completely different sound. But I haven't seen it done all there when you're authoring the sound, you know, just to put it there. So I think it's pretty cool. It's pretty original.
Interesting idea. I think, Charlie, you could make some fairly horrible and terrifying sounds down in the basement, as it were, with something like this. It does look pretty interesting.
And I'm surprised and ashamed to say I haven't bought it yet, but I think it's got to be on my list. And it's interesting because one thing I've found, I've just been lately getting more and more deeply into Serum 2, the excellent hard wavetable synth from Steve Duda of X4 Records, which has become a staple in a lot of sort of EDM and dubstep and brostep kind of genres because of some of the weird routings and excellent effects that you can do. And one thing I discovered that's kind of similar to the UVI Rumble, although much more basic, on a lot of the more there's some extreme patches available for Serum that are in that sort of dubstep wub category, and some of them are just so aggressive and just speaker destroyingly loud, but still have some clarity in the bottom end. And as I was poking around and dissecting some of these patches that I had found, I discovered some of the routings that are possible in Serum, where there's a sort of mixer, much like you were saying with the Cherry Audio ESQ. You can apply effects individually to either oscillator or both, or to the post filter signal, or post filter 1 and post filter 2. And some of those patches that I was amazed at that had in Serum 2 that had a very warped wave shaped top end but clear bottom end, we're using that kind of programming technique where one oscillator would be routed around the effects, whereas the other one was going through some extreme distortions. And that's how they were able to maintain a clear and clean signal path for one part of the spectra, and then a very grungy and distorted signal path for a different frequency range within a single sound. And so just seeing that little clip about UVI Rumble, where you can see the crossover points moving, and then it kind of clicked just 30 seconds ago that this might be a more sort of full-featured take on what a lot of programmers had done to create some of my favorite sounds in Serum. So it definitely bears a closer look from me.
Yeah, it might make it a little more, what was I saying, instinctive, you know, a bit easier to program. Yes, go, Paul. Yeah.
Just very, very quickly, Charlie, you always mention your list and putting synths on your list. How long is that list now? Have you got an rough idea for our viewers and listeners?
It's long.
He's like, he's cupping his forehead in despair. Wow, yeah.
I did just get.
There's always something new.
I've been messing around with plugin managers to kind of help me deal with the soft synth and plugin load. And there's a few excellent. That was another sort of very short topic, but little utilities that let you manage plugin lists and deal with things like the weird ecosystem of Waves plugins and UAD. Those little utilities have kind of matured greatly in the past couple of months. And, at first there was some very simple, very basic utilities that let you turn on and off plugins that weren't much better than the built-in capabilities in Logic to toggle plugins off. But recently there have been a few plugin managers that have kind of matured and offer loading and saving of sets of plugins, and that can automatically check the manufacturer's website for updates from a central interface and things like that. So I've been using some of those to try to help lighten the load, and
try to help you.
The reason I mention them is that one of those utilities, I've been trying out different ones, and one of them kind of gives you a master count of all the files that it has scanned on its first launch, and the number was in the 8,000s. Now, of course,
is it called plugin therapy by any chance? It feels like it should be.
It should be. And of course, that number counts. Every plugin installed probably counts for 3: an AAX, a VST3, and an audio unit. But still, seeing that number in the 8,000s was a bit like seeing your test results from your cholesterol test or something at the doctor's office.
It's the hidden killer.
Yeah, exactly.
That explains the furrowed brow when I ask. Then
it's an interesting point, though. I mean, I don't know. Do you usually, because the Logic, there are tricks that you can do. Do you use a plugin manager at all? Because I imagine you've got a lot of stuff maybe that's beta testing, not current, whatever. Do you have or do you just?
Actually,
are you disciplined?
I receive I get a lot of plugins, and I try a lot of stuff, and I have a lot of kind of prototypes. So my plugin folder is quite, messy. And I used Claude to take the list, to build me a list of plugins, because when you look at the components, I use audio units. So when you look at the component folder, sometimes you see a plugin name and it's not associated with a brand name. So sometimes it could be quite random. And if I want to delete it, so it's a bit risky. So I asked Claude I gave it the entire folder, and I asked it to make a list where each brand is associated with its plugins. And although I could have let it delete the stuff that I've not been using and stuff, but I wanted to do it manually. So it took like an hour. But then I deleted a lot of stuff that I wasn't using. Sometimes when I test stuff, and not to mention when there's work in progress on a product or something like that, then I have to move all the content of the components folder to a temporary folder and back and things like that. And if there's something I'm not sure of, or something that I haven't used for a while, I use it to unused AU, and then I can, So yes, I do that a lot, but that's part of my work, So I do that and other stuff and registry and what have you. So I do that kind of stuff all the time.
I wonder if there's a way, because it might make sense to, last used, for instance. Last used, they just build a database that says last used on this track in this project. That would be a useful thing to be able to have a query for.
Not per project, but what you can do, every time you open a plugin in Logic, it creates a database entry. So what you can do is delete all of them, and then let it create it every time, let it create the entry every time you open a plugin. So then if you sort the folder by date, you'll have an idea about what you've actually used. And the stuff that's not in this list means that it hasn't been used at all.
Interesting. Wow, what a first world problem, but nonetheless, still. Yeah. Well, I mean, it comes back to this notion. Music has gravitated towards being, ever since it became digital. There's an IT aspect to it, isn't there? Which many of us, who don't come up with creative names for final version, it's hell. I mean, I know, some people don't have any concept of it, and there's, I mean, it's even worse when if you work on a Google Drive, for instance, you can save multiple versions of the same file name.
Yeah.
And it's just like when my partner says, I'm working on this letter for something or other, and then she go, well, I don't know which one it is. And it's like, well, why don't you name them? Because otherwise you'll never see, you just, particularly if you're using it on an iPad, it's very hard to see views in the right way with date modified and all that stuff. Yeah, sorry, you were about to say something.
If it's a final project, it'll probably be called, song, final version, mix down, and then F off in capital letters. just to warn anyone who comes in here, lose all hope, ye who enter here.
When you go to caps, then you know it's serious. So you start lowercase, then go to caps. Sorry.
I've never done that. I always number my versions. I never give them any titles. 1, 2, 0, 1, 0, 2. So then the kind of
nice,
over 10, it doesn't mix up. It doesn't do it on Macs anymore. But because you don't want to jinx it. When you label something final, of course it won't be the final. So why bother? Just don't do it.
Exactly.
Just number them.
It's never over. The mix that was never over. Well, that's interesting. But that's interesting. Unless, of course, you go into the hundreds and then you need 0, 0. And, that starts to get... then you're...
The most
Charlie,
I got to was
I'm
20,
guessing...
The highest I got to was like 23 or something like that. That was a nightmare album. And one song in particular went to version 23, and
wow. I could tell you're scarred. You remember the number even.
Scarred for life.
Yeah.
Charlie, I noticed you looked a little sheepish then when I was mentioning that. But I mean, in your world, film world, it's not like just you, it's like the director or the producer or whoever. So you must have, this was the version that I was happy with, the director was happy with, but the producer wanted a tweak. And then when I tweaked it, the producer wasn't happy. Do you know what I mean? Do you get into all of that, I guess?
I mean, I've been very lucky when I talk to other composers working in a similar vein. A lot of them seem to have a bit more struggles with that than I've been blessed with. Part of that's because of like the Saw movies franchise is almost like a family business, like running a farm stand or something, where it's the same sort of crew at the core of the thing for most of these movies across 20 years. So there's been some easing of those kind of issues with that. But early on, some of the first scoring work I did, I quickly realized that I needed to have a single and coherent and clear way of numbering and naming everything, whether it's an individual audio track within a Logic song, and so that it could be easily identifiable and utterly unique, and there would never be a file, certainly never a file called, audio 1-01, but also not we would extend that concept to always making sure that we had utterly unique titles for every piece of music. And when you're getting into the thousands of pieces of music, I think that the sum total of film and TV cues over the past 20 some years is over 10,000 individual pieces of music that all had a title. And it would be a disaster if you're scoring a weekly TV series about a crime drama. It would be a disaster if you had a piece of music called Car Chase, because chances are there would be another piece of music called Car Chase next week. And so we would always my music editor, who would work up the cue sheets during the spotting sessions, he developed a system where instead of using like a dedicated cue sheet software or a spreadsheet, he would use a database, and he would so that then each show was a single record in a database, like a card and a Rolodex. And he would set the parameters of the database he would check the checkbox in the cue title field for force unique values so that it would check all the titles of all the previous pieces of music that he had entered over the years. And if he was entering car chase or whatever for the second time, it would say, no, that's not allowed, man. So, but that we would make sure that everything was named very uniquely, never something called shootout or gunfight or car chase, but always had a unique and easily memorable title. And it's made life so much easier when you get into the multiple year-long gigs like TV series type of stuff.
Yeah, I can imagine. Fascinating insights. Thank you so much. I'm going to wrap things up now because I'm going to knock off once I've done this, and I'm going to go and watch England play at 9:00. So I'm getting quite excited. I'm going to start getting ready. I'm not I'm not going to be draping myself in the flag or wearing the kit.
I was going to say, is it getting ready?
No.
Putting on face
makeup
and
I'll have
jersey?
yes, mate. No, it's not going to be anything like that. But I'm quite excited anyway. So thank you so much. Yoad, I'm guessing, are you back to work now, or do you get to knock off at a reasonable hour today?
I think I'm going to call it a day for today. And it's my daughter's birthday tomorrow. So we're going to do something nice this evening. And I'll get back to it tomorrow.
Nice one. Well, thank you very much. Thank you for joining us. I know you've been busy. It's much appreciated that you give up your time like this. Very much so. And Paulee, I'm guessing you're back to, you don't keep regular hours anymore. You just got to work around the kids, right? That's the other problem. Working at home the whole time, you will be constantly available for, can I? I've just got to, that's one thing.
I love it.
You just got it. Yeah.
Okay. So I need to get an office, is what you're saying?
Well,
to,
see how
an
it goes.
External down the street. No. Yes. Next up, I think once the Iridium interview's done, I'm gonna edit the next episode of Retrocast, which is gonna be Monolake, Robert Henker,
Nice.
all about how he uses Commodore PET computers live. I use, Amigas and 90s computers live. I think he's absolutely balmy for trying to use 70s computers live, but it works. And after that, I've got in the can as well an interview with Gavin, who was DJ Aphrodite in the 90s, who did loads of cool jungle music. So I'll be editing those podcasts together and then putting them out. So
Nice
that will keep me busy.
Of course, that is, of course, the Retrocast, which is available on I can say it. I think I can say the Sonicstate network because we've got more than one podcast on it. So that makes us a network, right? So, episode, is it 3 or 4? I forget now, is coming up. So, brilliant. That'll be good.
Episode 4 will be coming up. Episode 3 was all about pirate radio, by the way.
Right. Yes,
so if you didn't check out episode 3, you can find out how they nicked things off the top of traffic lights to make pirate radio work in the 90s.
Nice.
It was amazing.
That's all pod.sonicstate.com is where you can find all that stuff. And Charlie, I know you got up at an ungodly hour. Well, I don't know. You might be one of those people who gets up at 5 and drinks kale. Oh, okay. Well, that's fine. I'm glad to hear it. But thank you so much for making yourself available. It's been lovely to have you. I know we haven't had you for a while. Have you got a day in gainful employment ahead of you, or are you chilling?
I'm going to dig into a couple of tracks by the cellist Tina Guo, who performs with Hans Zimmer on tour and plays on a lot of his scores. And she's got yet another solo project that she wants to have some industrial grime. So she kindly approached me about adding some dirt and flavor to her new project. So I'm going to dig into that today.
Excellent. That sounds fantastic. I am somewhat disappointed that there's no rust in your control room, though, because, it feels like that'd be something you could have somewhere. But lovely. Thank you ever so much, everybody. It's been an absolute pleasure. That was Sonic Talk episode 897. Is that? No, 897. I think that's right. That seems...
Wow.
I think I might have jumped up a number. I'm not sure that's right. I think it might be 800. Anyway, whatever. This episode's over. We'll be back. Well, I'll make sure the numbers add up in the end anyway. Thank you very much, everybody. And thank you for everybody in the chat room. See you later. Take care. Bye-bye.